Hello, everyone, and welcome to our channel. This is Caitlin and Daniel Rodriguez, aka Mr. and Mrs. LLC, and you guys in our very special series during this pandemic called What Are They Doing? Who are they?
So they is actually going to be our network. We're going to bring to you guys. These individuals are in various stages of being successful because a lot of times when you're trying to take that first step, that first leap in entrepreneurship or just whatever venture you're looking to do, you're in the first beginning stages.
Right.
And you're looking at someone who's far out there, all the way out there, like a late Kobe Bryant or a Michael Jordan or like a Bill Gates. And they just seem so far-fetched out there. But we forget about the middle stages, the people that are in the middle that are still learning and you can learn from as well. So we're going to bring those individuals to you. So stay tuned, get your questions ready because the episode's about to start now. Young, strong entrepreneur, very disciplined individual. We're going to get into kind of his background and what he's doing today and how is he able to have a really positive outlook in today's events through the pandemic and everything else. So without further ado, I'd love to bring on our guest speaker, Jared McKay. Give me 1 second. Let me see. I think I saw him hop on. I'm going to let him enter. On.
Nothing much. I appreciate you for having me on here, man. How are you doing today?
Oh man, doing very well, just trying to enjoy ourselves during the social distancing, right?
Definitely, most definitely.
Get a chance to work from home. I got my office set up here. Katie has her office set up there. Trying to keep that boundary, right? Real easy to slip into not wanting to work. You gotta keep disciplined.
Yeah, discipline is key. Discipline is very key. I say for me, when you're working from home, it's so easy to, like you said, get distracted from everything, and not really be focused. But you've got to be, especially in these times. The more focused you are, the more ahead you can get of the competition.
Well, I'm glad you were able to hop on with us today. I know you got a busy schedule and everything. I know you kind of caught a little bit of intro and we talked a little bit of, what we really want you to share with us today. But before we get into any of the juicy and the raw stuff, first, just share your story with us, man. I know you come from humble beginnings, right? You natural born here in the Georgia area. So tell us a little bit of your experience here so far.
Yeah, of course. So born and raised here out of Stone Mountain, Georgia. Born in a two-parent household, graduated from Chamblee High School from then on. Really got to see a lot of different types of communities. Going to high school at Chamblee, I mean, if you know anything about the area, it's probably one of the most diverse schools in the state, just from the influx that you're going to get from the different parts of the county, and the high intellectual level. I mean, we were like 4 or 5 best high school in the state. And so like we had people getting like perfect scores on the ACTs like every year. It was really crazy. But from there, I went to a junior college out in South Carolina, Spartanburg Methodist, played baseball there, got my associate's degree out there, and really learned a lot about, of course, the first 2 years of college are very huge in terms of living on your own and just being a student athlete and all of that. And from there, I was able to then move on and continue my studies and continue my baseball career in Louisiana at the University of New Orleans. So went there for my junior and senior year. Of course, graduated there. Loved the city. It's probably one of my favorite cities in the country, New Orleans. But after that, came back home, was working as a financial analyst and was, getting your career started, right? Just those first few jobs when you're fresh out. And I was enjoying it, but I knew early on that I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't really know in what business or what field or like how to get started. And then eventually I got connected and was able to become an entrepreneur and eventually fire my boss, walk away, and full-time entrepreneur now.
Okay. So I'm going to kind of break that down a little bit. We kind of jumped through like, almost 10, 15 years of your life so far, right? That was a very fast forward of of life in Jared.
Like Zoom.
It's like warp speed. But so you went to school and your degree, you with associates, and then you kind of you said you graduated with a degree in finance. So was it always the financial realm that you figured that's where you wanted to go, or?
It really wasn't actually. If you would have asked me like junior, senior year, I was either thinking like international business or sport management. One of those places, like one of my dream schools was the University of Miami at the time, and they were huge in international business, of course, because where they're located, and also huge in sport management, of course. I mean, it's Miami, and sports all over the place. So that was like the perfect dream type of place where I wanted to be. And so that was really where I was thinking at that time. And then I don't really know how it sort of transitioned to finance. Like it just sort of, I think when I went to University of New Orleans, they didn't have an international business sort of degree. And so I just was like, okay, I've got to pick. And I don't know how I just ended up on finance. I think I was like, hey, I'm good at math. I could do finance. I think it was really something simple like that. And that's sort of how I sort of got into it. And then once I got really into the major and really started studying and learning, I was like, okay, I actually really do like this. And I always had an inkling for finance. I always felt like, financial literacy is extremely important, especially in communities where that's not really talked about often. But just sort of, it was, I can't really tell you like one moment that made me just want to be in a finance major. I think it just sort of happened like that.
Happened. Sounds very similar to Katie's story. She didn't start off as wanting to be an accountant. What was you start off as?
No, I actually started off wanting to do education. And we talked a lot about my family being a teacher, and started off in math. I mean, hey, I was good at math, so like you, just kind of fell into it. I was like, okay, I'm good at math. But knew that that's not what I wanted to actually do. I loved the math more than I actually wanted to teach it at the time. I kind of correlated into getting into accounting, which is very different because I never thought that I would get into accounting. I don't think anyone grows up and says, I want to be an accountant.
Well, I want to be an accountant. Yeah, I don't think that happens either.
That's crazy.
No, not at all.
So not only did you kind of fall into being in the finance realm, but you said that you ended up playing baseball. So I'm very curious about it because you say you jumped into it and going to the finance realm. You figured out that you wanted to be, you worked in the corporate realm, right? What was your first job out of college?
Yes, well, I was a financial analyst for a staffing company in Duluth called American Cyber Systems. And they're actually the #1 minority-owned staffing company like in the country. And they have like offices like all over the country and other countries. It was crazy. But yeah, so I was working there essentially like just doing some Excel stuff, doing some projections, just studying, looked at, what their past was, projecting what the future would be, stuff like that.
So you came out, you were
my guy, man. Right in the future,
So you came out, you got this, very prestigious location, right? Has a lot of weight to it, and came out the gate swinging for the most part. And so you were one of the lucky ones, I would say. A lot of individuals between our ages and your age, they aren't as lucky, right?
Oh, most definitely.
Come out with a job not only in the field that you are trying to get into, but a pretty decent position. So that's awesome. So how long were you with them?
So it was, let me see, I believe it was probably from June to around June, of 2018 to around January, February of 2019.
And where'd you go from there?
So from there, that's really where I transitioned to going from a part-time entrepreneur to a full-time entrepreneur. After that happened, it was just like, I enjoyed my experiences, but I knew, like I said, even, in high school, I knew I wanted to have my own business, just didn't figure out where. And so I was really able to find my niche and create a business that really worked for me. And really aligned with my values and what I wanted to do. And I was able to go full time on that route.
So, man, that's a big jump. That's definitely, you spend so many years getting your college degree, right? And it's not like you went in for something that you knew you wasn't going to make you money, right? You went in for something that was very, weighted, I guess you'd say, in the career realm. And then you go and you have about almost a year of experience, and then you say, you know what? I'm just going to jump straight into it. Usually people have 5, 6, 10 years before they jump and make that transition. So what was it that just kind of flipped the switch and said, I want to go full time to entrepreneurship?
You know, it was just I would really have to credit my mom. She's always been sort of a part-time entrepreneur her whole life. And, she was like, hey, you're young. You should just go do it full on. Like, you have the time. You don't have kids. You don't have a ton of responsibilities, a ton of liabilities. This is the time to try things that you want to see if they work. And if they don't, then you try something else. But so I would say just a lot of conversations with her and really just some other mentors that I just found, in my business doing what I do. And it's just it was a jump that I wanted to make, and I felt like it had to be made to go to the next level in the business.
So then let's kind of transition to that. So what was the first jump, or is it still the same when you made that transition to full-time entrepreneurship? Like, did you know you were staying in financial services, or tell me about that transition?
Yeah, so once I jumped into part-time entrepreneurship, I still had, of course, my job and was I run a small time, not a small time, a full a full-time financial service company, really focusing on financial education. And so I was just doing that, after work, on weekends, whether it was hosting events or hosting seminars or sitting down with some families individually. And I really just enjoyed what I was doing. And I really found that a lot of the people who I had grown up sort of admiring in life, whether it was coaches or, family members or friends of the family, they needed a lot of help. And so I'm like, wow, these people who I, thought had it all together really needed some help. What is everyone else doing? And so I really felt like there was a giant need for what I did. And I couldn't meet that need still, being on a part-time basis.
Right. So then your transition from corporate lifestyle, right, was straight into what you currently do right now then?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it was.
So, I mean, still understanding that's what, 2019 you said, and so 2019 is 2020. So you've been, I guess, a full-time entrepreneur for what, about a year and a half or so?
Yeah, it's pretty much been about a year now, maybe a year and like a month, but I'd say pretty much spot on a year.
So, well, what were some, I guess, difficulties making that transition and kind of?
It's definitely a change. I'd say make sure you're mentally and financially prepared for that. Just like what we've been talking about earlier, like, you gotta have to get up and have a will and a desire to go work every day. No one's gonna tell you, be here this time, do this. I have mentors that say, hey, when you own your own business, you are all departments in that corporate job you used to have. Like, you are HR, you are legal, you are accounts payable, accounts receivable, you are all of that. And so you really have to own that. And, you really have to have a desire to get up every day and make it happen for yourself. And I believe I'm a self-starter. I'm very big on, doing it right and doing it the first time, but also getting it done. And I think you have to sort of have that mindset to be an entrepreneur in any business.
So let me ask a question. So you said that you always knew you wanted to be an entrepreneur, but like, why be an entrepreneur? I mean, there's people who want to. It's the American dream. We all want to own our own business, have a piece of, the American, industry, and put our name on there. It's a stamp. But why entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so I'd say as a financial person, I understand the tax advantages that you have as an entrepreneur. I think that is a big reason. And all of the major leaders that you see, whether they're community organizers, leaders in business, leaders in politics, leaders in sports, they're all entrepreneurs, right? And they're able to put time into what they want to do because they have the freedom to do so. And for me, that was really my biggest thing. I wanted to have freedom. I want to have control of my own time. I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And the only way you're really going to get to that point in life is if you build something on your own. And so once I understood that, and once I was like, okay, this is the real way to financial freedom and time freedom, it was a no-brainer for me.
So just kind of to piggyback on that one, on that question, why you want to be an entrepreneur. So you had this inert feeling that you acted on, right? You've been having it since you said you were young. You learned from your mom, and just kind of she gave you the mother approval, right? That's improved.
Yeah,
That's important.
That is very important.
it's very important. So you had some time. It was a year until now into the pandemic. So if you were to kind of, what if someone had that same yearning, right? And they still had that same drive, but right now they're in the middle of the pandemic and they find themselves not knowing what to do, right? And just kind of back up a second, I mentioned it to our last interviewees about currently right now, you think about it, you take a step back and realize there's three different types of people. There's those individuals that were prepared for it, right? Just any type of huge pandemic, epidemic, economic switch or change. And then there's the individuals who noticed it about a month or two ago and make it an adjustment. And there's those that just kind of went straight through it and didn't adjust or do anything. Right? Three different types of people. Yeah. You obviously, based on what you're saying to us, that you were kind of some of the first qualities where you've been doing this and been kind of working towards it. But for those individuals who are finding themselves as the third person who's just trying to figure it out now, what would be some advice that you would say to them to help them get through it?
Well, first off, this isn't the first crisis and it won't be the last, right? And so my suggestion to them is lick your wounds and then figure out, okay, how can I use what I've learned or what I've experienced, what I've been through in this crisis, and then monetize, or how can I build something to the point to where when this happens again, I don't feel like this. And so for me, like I saw what happened in 2007, 2008. I had a personal experience of what happened in 01. I mean, my dad lost his job in 01. He was out of work for 11 months. I went from going to private school to public school. So I've felt that and I've known what that's like. And so for me, I knew this was coming. I'm a little upset it came this fast because I wasn't able to build up enough yet, right? But I'm like,
not
okay,
the only one.
when it comes next time, I'm gonna definitely be ready, right? And so for me, those who are going through it and sort of, figuring it out and licking those wounds and having that feel of remorse of, oh, wow, I did not do something, use that as motivation to get something done in the next few months, to where 4, 5, 6, 10 years from now, when we go through another crisis, and it probably won't be that long before we go to another crisis because this is a man-made crisis. This isn't really a real crisis financially. This is more of a health crisis than an actual financial crisis. It just had a financial side effect. And so for me, it's, okay, I felt this. Now let me use this as motivation, right? I remember I was listening to a story. I think it was Diana Taurasi, of course, WNBA legend. And she was talking about the first time she met Kobe, and they were in the Olympics, right? It was Summer Olympics. I think it was 04. It was 08. It was 08 in Beijing. And they were like in the room playing cards, just sort of hanging out and stuff. And someone brought him a newspaper. And this was like the year after they had just lost to the Celtics, right? Someone brought him a newspaper, and it was like clippings. And I think it was like Paul Pierce, like holding up the trophy. And he like cut it out of the newspaper and put it in his pocket. It was like motivation, right? That's the time. Like, that's crazy. I was listening to the story. I was like, that is insane, right? But if you really follow Kobe, that's not really that hard to fathom. And so you really have to have that. You really have to use this, how you're feeling right now, as motivation, because 5, 6, 10 months from now, things might go back to normal and you might not have that desire to work as hard to build that business. You're going to have to dig back to be like, okay, 10 months ago, I remember what that felt like. I'm doing this so I don't feel like that again. And that's what you really want to focus on.
So now it sounds great and everything, right? But someone who's looking from the outside in, can say, well, you know what, Jared, you went to school for finance and you did that. Yeah, you had a corporate job, got some experience, and then you made the transition still in the financial industry, insurance and helping and having this financial services. But how can I do something like that? Like, you know, like I have different ideas, but how can I make a transition if it's financial services, if it's somewhere else? Is it that easy, or, you know, tell me a little bit about that.
You know, I think there's always entry fees to any business, right? There's always starting investments, whatever that is. You know, and I help mentor a lot of guys who don't have a financial background. I mean, I have a guy that works at Best Buy right now. I have a guy that has his own engineering firm. He does architectural engineering, right? That's totally outside the realm of finance, right? But for me, I always say when it comes to finance, no matter what you do, financial education is important. No matter what business you're in, you still got to come home and pay bills. You still got to come home and plan for retirement. You got to come home and plan for these kids to go to school. You got to come home and plan for this mortgage. There's financial decisions that you have to make all throughout your life, no matter what your day job is, right? So that's something that you probably want to become well-versed on, right? It's like we're well-versed on brushing our teeth and washing our face. Why? Because everyone does it. Everyone should be well-versed financially, right? Because everyone does it. So that's my first thing. And then, you know, it might not be a passion of yours to where you want to build a business for it. And that's totally okay, right? But whatever your passion is, I say I'm very big on doing something part-time before you do something full-time, right? I always say dip your toes into entrepreneurship so you can learn those lessons at a very small scale, right? And so you sort of have some safety net that you can sort of fall on if you make a mistake. Because if you just go from full-time corporate to full-time entrepreneur and you make a mistake, you might be out on the lawn, right, next month, right? And that's just a fact of the matter, right? So I say it's very important to start on a part-time basis, learn those lessons, learn those skills, because it is a totally different mindset that you have to have from working for someone else and working for yourself. You have to have a totally different mindset. And for a lot of people, that takes time to sort of turn that mindset on and get thinking like that. So I say start part-time. Most definitely is one of the easiest ways. I mean, we see it all the time. Kids that come out of college, and what do they have? They have internships. Well, why do they have internships? It's a part-time job so for you can see how that job works, how that business operates, their systems. Do you get along with upper management? Do you see yourself being there for the next 20, 25, or even 10 years, right? Do the same thing with your business, right? Have an entrepreneurship internship to where you can do something for 6 months or 9 months or 12 months. Of course, you got to give it time. Businesses take time, right? You read the story of Coke. I think Coke sold like 200 bottles its first year, right? This is Coca-Cola we're talking about. In their first year of business, they sold like 200 bottles. And they probably thought it was a great year, right? That's the crazy part. So definitely, I say for any entrepreneur, you got to have a long-term vision. I think many times when people start businesses, they quit too early because they say, "Oh, it didn't work for the first 6 months. I'm not going to do that," right? Or it didn't work for the first 3 months. For the first month, it's not going to work. That's not how business is. You have to have a plan. Like when I started my business, I had a 6-month plan, I had a 12-month plan, I had a 3-year plan, and I had a 5-year plan, right? And so
just remind us, how old are you?
I am 23.
Oh my gosh!
I'll be 24 in 2 months. I'll be 24 in 2 months, right? But I just think that's so important. You have to sort of have an understanding and have a plan to say, hey, this is where I want to be in 6 months, and work towards that goal, right? And make it a very doable goal. Like, hey, I want to have 2 clients, or hey, I want to, get 5 sales a month, or hey, whatever that is. Make it a very doable goal. And then, okay, now I can expand. Now I can expand and go from there. So for me, I guess to sum up that question, start part-time before you go full-time, create a plan, have a long-term vision, and just go try it. Don't be afraid to fail.
Especially at this time, right, where people, they're losing their jobs, they're not having that security that they once had. We just found out 10 million people didn't know that they wouldn't have that 9 to 5.
Exactly.
What's the other option?
What is the other option? And so, I always say part-time businesses means part-time income, but it also means a full-time security, right? To where, hey, if something does happen with that 9 to 5, because we all know at any given time, they can be like, oh, we don't need you anymore, right? Your job's been replaced, right? And so the fact that you have a skill or you have an ability or you have a business to where you can go and make your own income and not have to look to someone else to do that, there's a different type of internal confidence that comes with that you really don't get and understand until it happens, and you're like, wow, this is like real, this is legit. And so I think a lot of, like you just said, too many people file for unemployment. I think a lot of people are having their eyes open of them understanding, like, okay, I definitely need to have a plan B, right? Because plan A isn't always as secure as we think.
Man, I see a lot of, Katie just said, asked you, how old are you, right? Because you don't speak like a normal, I would say normal, I don't want to put out there normal, but normal 23-year-old, like, you think 23-year-old, I'm young, right? I remember when I was 23, I'm not that long ago, but still, you definitely have a sense of discipline, right? You have a maturity level to you that I think probably needs to come from an individual in order to take that step, that leap of faith in entrepreneurship. But I wanted to, before I ask my next question, I wanted to share something real quick. I wanted to see, where is it at? I don't see it. I don't see it. It's up here. I'll share the intro screen that I was just at with you for a second. Can you see the intro screen?
Oh yeah, that's a phenomenal job.
Hey, I can't take any credit. Look pictures of you.
I love the connections, and the outlook is very nice.
I appreciate it, man. But honestly, I mean, it just sticks. Like, even in these pictures, you seem very, you don't seem like a 23-year-old. You seem like a very established person. You obviously giving back to the community. You got a lot of presentation. But the picture I really want to focus on is going back to your sports kind of background, and right there in the middle. So I see a lot of dedication in that face, right? I see a lot of dedication, and obviously baseball was, correct me if I'm wrong, was your love and passion, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
So would you say a lot of that sports mentality and that dedication, going to practice, 2-a-days, whatever, helped you translate into this entrepreneurship venture?
Yeah, I mean, you would have to think so, right? I mean, on a week's basis, I mean, any given day I would be giving anywhere between 4 to 6 hours a day for 6 to 7 days a week for 10 months at a time, right? Just to play for 3 months out the year, right? And so I would say you would have to really, I guess it sort of just instinctively is in me from being an athlete at that high level, right? You have to be disciplined, because if you aren't, you're not going to be successful, right? You have to be okay with failure. And I think that really comes from baseball altogether, just because, I mean, Hall of Famers in the MLB fail 7 out of 10 times. So you just become okay with failure in baseball because it just happens, right? And so I think that mentality comes from that, of being okay with failure and being okay with no's, because you're going to need that in entrepreneurship, right? But the discipline is really huge, and also the long-term outlook. I mean, as a baseball player, you would get to school in August and you would work out from August all the way to December, and you have not played a meaningful game yet, and you just worked out straight for 5 months, right? And so because being a spring sport athlete, you don't play a meaningful game until the middle of February, but you're working out in August, you have to have that long-term vision of, okay, I'm doing this now in August, and in February, March, and April, and May, when you're playing games that actually matter and in moments that actually matter, what I did in August and September and October and November, December is going to push me through, right? So I think that's really just instinctively of what I've been through and what I've seen that really, how I sort of have an outlook on things.
Right. And I don't know if the people who are watching and who are going to watch this in the replay realize what you just said there and could have easily overfly on that value. And Katie said, and that's a nugget right there. And it's because you talking about months and months at end that you are practicing for your Super Bowl, right? Your preseason, your practice, even the games before your championship that you know you're excited for, but it's preparing you for the end factor. And I can see what you're talking about, how you know being in baseball definitely helps you prepare because basically 2018, 2019 was your preseason, right? Was you practicing because now you are in your championship. So tell me, how's business right now in this pandemic for you? Like, are you where you at?
Yeah, business is actually booming because of all that's going on. And it's really sort of a couple different reasons. Like I said, this is a health pandemic, a health issue, a health crisis that has really sort of sprawled a financial crisis because of all that's going on. And so the combination of both of those have really boomed our business because, you know, people are losing thousands of dollars a day and they're looking for solutions on how to stop. I can help with that. People are looking for some safety and protections to if they do get this illness and, you know, pray to God that they're okay. But if they don't get out of it and they, you know, do pass away, that they're able to leave something, leave some wealth or structure some things where their kids are going to be protected, their house is going to be taken care of, their wife or husband is going to be okay. I can help with that. A lot of people, like we just mentioned, you got 10 million people who are filing for unemployment. And like I said earlier, a lot of people are being awoken to where, hey, I need to make some money in a different way. And Uber and Lyft isn't really an option right now, right? So how can I make some money sitting in my front of my computer screen? I can help with that. So really the ways all that has really happened and all of sort of the side effects, I'd say, of this health crisis has really boomed my business really on all sides.
So it's almost been like a perfect storm for you.
Yes, you know, I don't mean to downplay that because what's going on is extremely serious with all, you know, people passing away. And my family's from New Jersey, and so I have a ton of family members up there, and it's like 10 times worse up there up north. Um, but because of all that's happening, it's been good for business, right? I mean, there's companies that are struggling and failing, like the airline industry and things like that, and there's companies that are booming, like P&G is probably gonna have the best quarter they've ever had, like since P&G's been created, right? I mean, it's cleaning supplies, paper towels, tissue paper, like that's literally what they do, and that's all everyone's buying right now. So, you know, and that's why I say in every crisis there are those that have and those that have nots, and you want to position yourself with a business to where it don't matter if good times are good or times are bad, you're still able to profit some way, whether you have to pivot and change what you're doing. Like I read a article on a guy who had he had a distillery and he made whiskey, and I think he just made whiskey, right? And so he was about to go out of business because no one's really buying alcohol, and he can't really. A lot of his workers had to go home because, you know, of social distancing and all that. And what did he do? He pivoted, and instead of making alcohol for whiskey, he made alcohol for hand sanitizer.
Oh, wow.
And now his business is booming just by a pivot, right? And he was like, I really didn't even think about it. Just one of his like VPs came in and was like, yo, we should do this. And he looked up the CDC guidelines for making hand sanitizer. And was like, all it is alcohol, some chamomile, I believe, and something else. And so now he's just shipping out hand sanitizer because everyone needs hand sanitizer right now. It's like a shortage of hand sanitizer. And he was like, for most people, it's a shortage of alcohol, and we don't have a shortage of alcohol, right? We're a distillery. And so just having that mindset of knowing how to shift and pivot in business when things, you know, may not be going like you thought is very important as an entrepreneur. You have to be able to do that. And I really commend that business owner for seeing that opportunity and making it happen.
So business is booming, right? It has been a perfect storm for you. So you obviously in the last couple of months you kind of were planning for how can you scale. You know, you kind of saw a change happening. What are you doing now? Either in business, or are you looking to expand and have more people to help you out, or what are you doing now that in the middle of the pandemic?
Yeah, you know, with all that's going on, and you know, I mean, calls are coming in left and right looking for some solutions. And for me myself, I'm very big on group economics, right? I can sit down with, you know, 5, 10, 15 families a month, and I can educate them on maybe making some better choices or pivoting some of their investments, whatever it is. But that's really only going to be a small change in the community, right? But if I have 5, 10, 15 guys that know what I know and have the information that I have, now we're helping 200, 300, 400 people a month. Now that's going to really bring a ginormous change to the community financially, because we're helping so many more people in the same amount of time. So for me, I'm big on connecting with someone who's looking to be a change in their community, and someone who's looking to, add some additional income because they see what's going on. They're like, hey, I need to have a plan B when something like this happens. Or someone who's just like, hey, I want to learn more about financial literacy. I want to be an asset to my community, not a liability. And so I'm really just looking to get connected with those guys and mentor them and teach them what I know, and so they can go out themselves and help their community. And now we can really have a giant change in the next 10, 20, 25 years, because now people are well educated, they're well structured, they're well set up, and they've got the right tools out on their tool belt to reach that next financial goal that they have.
So you're entrepreneur, you coach, right? Team coach, not just a player. You're a coach looking to help out some people and help some families out.
Yeah, I'm a player coach. I coach and I play same time.
You don't mind roll up your sleeves and get out there.
Not at all. Not at all. I think, you got to lead by example. I think that's very key in business.
I have one question. So, you're young, you're an entrepreneur. What are some things that, you do on a daily basis in order to keep that that goal alive of being an entrepreneur, building the confidence? There's confidence that plays into it. What are some things that you do personally?
When I was going, I think practice is extremely important. And again, that speaks back to being self-driven, self-motivated. I wanted to be the best at what I do, right? And to do that, you have to practice over and over and over again. And so something that I do is I say practice is key, whether it's whatever your business is, whatever you do, practice it all the time, right? I think that's pretty key. Another thing is have your goals in front of you, right? Whether it's in your room, in your kitchen. I know someone that has their goals in their bathroom, like when they come in and wash their face in the morning, their goals are right there. You can't miss it. So you want to have them in your face. And so it's like this daunting task. And it's like, okay, let me get this done. Let me not go and watch, First Take in the morning. Let me, go make some things happen, whatever that is in your business. So I think having goals out in public, out in front of you is key. Of course, practicing whatever your business is key. Also have a system and a structure, whether it's, 10 to 12, I do this, 12 to 2, I do this, 2 to 4, I do this. Have a schedule. And of course, have some free time in there because, we all need some time to sort of refocus and things like that. But have a schedule of some things you need to get done, or maybe some daily activities that you want to do every day, or maybe, twice a week you do this and have that set up in your calendar as a schedule. I think that's really key for entrepreneurs. You look at any major business, even like major small businesses that we're all familiar with, even like local small businesses that are very big where we are, they have systems and things in place. Systems are so key. Systems and structure allows a business to go from, $100,000 a month to $1 million a month, right? The only way it's really going to happen is systems and structure. So I would say definitely have something like that in place. So that's really that. Those are really the biggest things that I say are most important being a successful entrepreneur. And always love learning, right? I think that's another thing. You always have to be looking to learn new information, whether it's about your business or about another business, right? Always having an open mind and always be looking to learn more.
Right. That's a good question. Someone asked that. That's good. So what's next? I know you know what you're doing now. You said you're obviously a planner. So after this pandemic, what's next for you?
Ooh, after the pandemic, probably a vacation to get out of the house, right? I'm sure everyone and their mama's gonna be going somewhere in the net whenever this ends.
Is that where you're gonna spend your stimulus check at?
No, it's not where I was putting my stimulus check. I'm sure it's with some people if they're well structured, well set up. That's not a bad idea though. But honestly, it would probably be, whenever this is over, getting back into my office, setting some things up, having some, coronavirus, COVID-19 is over events. Now what, right? Back at work. Now what do we do? Type event, something of that nature. Connecting with people back face to face. I say, networking, I think is going to have a really big boom once this is over. A lot of face to face networking because, just looking at it, we're going to be stuck inside for another month and a half at best. And so after, 2-3 months of being stuck inside, everyone's going to be wanting to get out. So just a lot of
personal skills,
a lot of outdoor networking. Just getting back to work in the office and securing the future.
I don't want to take too much of your time. I appreciate everything you've given us. We're so blessed, Katie and I, to have you as a business partner as well.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys.
And that's a part of it too. Just kind of talking to some of these people that are watching is that you realize, I'm glad Katie asked, how old are you? I mean, obviously we know how old you are, but the fact is that you are still someone, and you realize when you look at people to be a mentor to you or to look up to or just to bounce off, even though we are partners in business, and you have your own book of business, your own side, be able to look up to you and see that you are way far than what a lot of 23, 24-year-olds are. And when people are looking for mentors, looking for the next step, don't be so prideful that you can't look at other people who are not the same age as you or who's younger or older. If you are asking for it, you better be accepting of wherever it comes. A lot of people, they shut off, right? They look at it and say, you don't look like me, you don't sound like me, but are you going the same place I'm going, right? Yeah. That's key. So I know I'm blessed. I know Katie's blessed. I know whichever lady is lucky to be asked to be married by you, I know they're gonna be blessed as well because you have a great head on your shoulders. And like I said, I can't say it enough how I'm happy to be in business with you as well.
I appreciate that. I'm super happy to be in business with you guys as well. And you guys teach me so much, how to be young, successful, and married. I love that you guys are in business together, and I appreciate you so much for having me on and sharing some good news, some good messages.
Before we let you go, tell the people, where can they follow you? Because you're young, you're an athlete, and successful, and I know you're not married yet, so there's still a chance for some people out there. So,
my God,
where can they ask questions and possibly get mentorship by you?
Yeah, the best place to find me is on Instagram. My Instagram is at The Wealth Renaissance. So of course, THE Wealth Renaissance, all one word, no underscores, anything like that. Just one word, The Wealth Renaissance. Find me on Instagram there, and that's really sort of the best place to find me.
You'll plug the NeurLife.
Oh yes. Also plug NeurLife, up and coming entrepreneurship, lifestyle brand. Check us out. Probably fall 2020.
Yeah, fall 2020. After everything else.
After Corona ends.
After the Rona comes a new life.
I like it. After the Rona, there's a newer life. Oh, I should tagline that. I love it. Put it on the shirt.
Oh, put it on the shirt. Put it on the page, man. Put it on the page. Well, I'll let you go. I appreciate it. You're going to get to business, and you got some cases to close and some people to help out. So, pleasure, man.
No problem. Thank you so much. You guys have an awesome, awesome Monday evening.
Well, you guys heard it here live. That was Jared McKay, young, aspiring entrepreneur, successful already. He's put a lot of thought into it. And just, I'm glad that he was able to hop on and share with you guys of, what is someone, there's no excuses when it comes to age, experience, and things like that. So definitely, he said where to catch him at. If you want that information, comment below. Definitely on the replay. We'll get you guys connected as well. But that's episode 2. Stay tuned. Episode 3. I know that we're going to have someone on here with a background in real estate coming up soon. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. I'll let you guys know for sure. Katie's got to schedule them for us because she has the in with that person, right?
Yeah.
So, so if you have interest in, or if you have interest in real estate and how that kind of can affect now, he definitely is going to have a lot of experience in that. So stay tuned on the next episode of What Are They Doing? You don't want to miss it. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.